evening, I'm Crystal Audison and welcome to this edition of Our City. Our City is a multimedia production, which means you can get your voice heard on the show. Connect with us on our Facebook page, Our City, email us on ourcityconnect@gmail.com or tweet us with the handle @OurCityCTV. If you are going to tweet us, use the hashtag OurCity. Tonight we focus on public transport. Our City went onto the streets of Cape Town and asked people how they feel about public transport in the city. Let's have a look.
My name is Luke Mpakama. I actually live in Milnerton. I take the taxi to the train station and then train station to Autry. It's much quicker. It's much quicker than taking the buses. It's much more convenient and generally how can I say it's just more convenient actually. It's safer because I don't know how else to explain it. And the buses actually become expensive at certain times. So at the times that I leave, I live in the morning and at night. So obviously those are peak times. So the buses are expensive then. Trains and taxis are always consistent. So it's just better.
My name is Kobisa. I go to Maitland High School. I travel by taxi. There's nothing wrong with the taxi. I go in the morning. I'm taken to school by my parents, and then when I go home, I take a taxi to school. There's nothing wrong with the taxi. I like a taxi because there's no pushing. No one is pushing you. You just pay the amount, the fee amount, and then you get home safely. That's all. But at some point, it depends on the driver, how the driver drives. Where sometimes you can be scared because you don't know whether he's driving too fast or what, because the roads are too busy, especially in the morning and especially out in the afternoons.
It was great.
I'm Nolan Adriaanse. I use public transport because it's much more convenient for me. I come from Menenberg, I take the train, then I come to Maitland Station, I take the taxi from here to Tableview. The reason why I do that is much more convenient for me. I stay near the station. When I come here, I just jump in the taxi and I'm on my way to Tableview. That's actually the reason why I'm using public transport this way. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I'm Mukong Marilyn. I stay in Pero. I don't like a train. I like a taxi because if I get a train, when I get out of the train, the distance is too much. The distance is far from where I stay, so I prefer to use a taxi. When I get out of the taxi, it's not too far from where I stay.
Oh, hi, my name is Shabuliswa. I stay in Philippi. I'm traveling with the train. Every day the trains are late. We're not happy about the service. And it's not even safe on the trains anymore. Because one day I was robbed my bag on the train, so please guys, you must up your limit. Thank you so much.
My name is Denver. I stay in Mitchell's Plain. I travel with the 9-5 every day. Corruption every day. People hanging out. Too much people pushing us out of the train. We can't tolerate that anymore.
Hi, my name is Avile. I travel from Makaza to Maitland. Trains are terrible. We pay more money, but the services is so not odd. So we would like Metrorail to change the situation in the trains, but it's so not good. Thank you.
My name is Asipile. I'm staying in Langa. I take train at 7 o'clock in the morning, and from Langa to till here, and then at school. It depends if the train is going nicely. And then that is where I get, maybe if it didn't go nicely on the road, I get late. And then the teachers, they don't trust that the trains are not safe, by the way. Are not safe because most of the people are going to work. When you see in the train doors, some other people they stand in the door or something. Yeah.
My name's Rayan. I'm from Maitland. I travel from Maitland to Cape Town every day, and the trains are always overcrowded and there's always bad smells. And now, even I just got out of a train that didn't even have a handle, so I almost missed my stop as well. So yeah, But most of the time, it's just that the trains are always overcrowded. Sometimes we can't even get out at the station because there's like so many people like blocking our ways. But other than that, like it's fine. It's a sufficient means of transportation.
I-train ihamba kakuhle andiqhela ikhwela ke mna ke ngabona i-problem.
My name is Victor Nolan. I'm from Behaveld South. I'm using the train. It's often the train is late when I'm using the trains, and I'm early at work at about 6:45.
My name is Denver. I'm from Maitland. I'm not from Maitland. I'm from Puntable. I take a train from Puntable to Maitland. Now I can't go back to Puntable. I stay now in Maitland now. That's it.
My name is Clarice Lusanda. I came from Congo. I live here in Peru. I take the early train, almost 10 to 6 train, but most of the time the train always came late, but around 6 or 7 o'clock. I always get at work late, and my boss is calling me about coming late every day. But the train is always came up, the train is up, but it's not on time every day.
I'm Siablel, I'm staying on Site C. It's because the train, yeah man, it's nice man and safe to me. Yes, I'm late, but now I'm late because of he is delayed there, staying there. Yeah. I'm finished, I'm late man.
My name is Piliswa. I came from Samora. I'm working in Maitland. I travel with a bus from Mitchell's Plain to Maitland. And then when I'm in bus, I think I'm safe more than everything.
My name is Judith Campbell. I stay in Parklands. I take a bus. I don't take it every day, but I usually use a bus. I only took a minibus because there is no bus here, but it's safe. I feel safe in the bus. Yeah.
Sure. My name is Enos Kanyika. I'm from Marawi. I'm staying in Parklands, Mina to Table View. I do travel by the bus each and every morning. Sometimes it might be late, and sometimes I might not get to work at a time. But it's not really good. But it's a bus because it's the one of the transports using. So it's like it's important. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Graham, and I'm from Ennewa Park. I use public transport when my car is broken. But the trains is always late, really. I always find a problem with the trains. Even the taxis also. Taxis are overloaded and stuff like that, you see. And for me, to use public transport, I don't think it's a good idea. I'd rather struggle with my own car than use public transport.
Okay, my name is Kerwin Langer. I use all forms of transport. I believe that the trains are the worst. It's crap, it's shit, it's rubbish. It's never on time. Always travel on the Cape Flats line and it's very, very poor. Is that alright? Thanks, eh?
The Our City team spoke to Tony Ehrenreich, COSATU Provincial Secretary, about the transport situation in the Cape Town region.
COSATU believes the public transport system is a disaster because the trains are aged and not properly maintained and it's terribly overcrowded. So as the main source of transport, it's not responding to the needs of workers. Buses only run occasionally and only in some of the townships. The taxis only run when they're full to do a trip. So there's effectively no reliable, affordable transport into the townships. But into the wealthier areas, you have a fantastic transport system in the form of the My City buses. And there's the people who have cars who can transport them in the short term. So it's clear that the political will to deal with the most urgent transport challenges does not exist in government nationally or in the city of Cape Town. Well, public transport and its unreliability has a huge impact on productivity because workers get to work late, often they lose money because of that, and there's even threats of disciplinary hearings. So this has a direct effect on the economy. But it also breaks down the connectivity between different sectors of society, and it constrains people to being stuck in the township and them not having the mobility. So overall, the cost of public transport to workers, the fact that it's so unreliable, has a detrimental effect on them personally as well as on the companies that they work for because of their unreliability in getting to work. The improvement that we've seen in public transport so far is to be welcomed, but it's just completely misguided. The reality is that it's poor people who need public transport more urgently than the wealthier people. But yet the wealthier people who have cars in the West Corridor, they're getting the My City bus first, while Mitchells Plain and Khayelitsha has only got a line that connects them to Cape Town, and that line, that bus line, does not even have a dedicated route, so they're not getting to town earlier. So it seems that a Rolls-Royce system to the wealthier white communities and just a completely inadequate system to people on the Cape Flats. And that remains a problem. So clearly the funds are there, the capacity is there, but clearly the political will to apply it to the areas that most require it is not there from the DA, the City of Cape Town, or national government, who should prescribe these kind of standards. Kusata believes the only way that we can improve it is if workers demand that their needs are taken most urgently and prioritized. The money is there. We spend probably nearly 7 billion rand on the public transport system in the City of Cape Town in the short term. If that was spent in Mitchells Plain and Khayelitsha and on the rest of the Cape Flats, that would immediately have improved their transport system and the capacity of it. So that's got to be an urgent refocus. Even at the moment, with the routes being set up there, we don't have the number of buses running because the buses are all used in Milnerton. Those buses must be moved to those areas where it's more urgently required. So it takes a clear program, active political will, and pressure from working class communities to insist that their needs are taken care of first. Commuters must tell all levels of government that there's consequences to how they treat their transport needs with disdain. If you look at where the money is spent in the City of Cape Town, clearly they're taking the wealthier people more seriously than they are the poorer people. So commuters must put pressure on government at a local level for that. If you look at what government's doing nationally, they're spending more money on new airplanes than they do on new trains, further metro rail system as it stands. Again, that's linked to the political will of government. If you look at people traveling in the rural areas, there's no bus system that connects the different towns. Workers are dependent on hikes or farmers giving them lifts on the different points. So clearly, there's got to be pressure from the side of commuters to force the government at a variety of levels to respond to their needs urgently, because government, it seems, will not out of their own make that a priority for people.
Creative World is giving one lucky viewer a chance to win.
The stylish custom-made lounge suite designed to bring a classic look to any home.
To enter, simply SMS the word creative to the number 48423.
SMSs only cost R1.50 and you may enter as many times as you like.
Competition closes on the 31st of July and the lucky winner will be announced on the 1st of August. So SMS and stay tuned to Cape Town TV.
Don't forget to enter the Creative World competition. Entries close on the 31st of July and the winner will be announced on Friday, the 1st of August.
Hundreds of commuters are stranded after the vandalism of signal cables between Philippi and Nyanga. Our city went to Nyanga station last night to speak to the angry commuters after Metrorail failed to update them about proper alternative transport arrangements.
I stay in Bontebel. I just came there, I bought a ticket. And they told me the ticket people, I must went to Mitchells Plain to my aunt. I must get off here at Nyanga. And I must take a bus through to Mitchells Plain. And then from there I had to go back. Now I'm standing here, I think it's more than an hour now. I had to wait for a train. I don't know, maybe some vandalizing in the cables around here, starting Cape Town again. For what reason? I really don't know. But people are just full of mischiefs in this country, you know. And we're supposed to live in this country as Madiba say, live peacefully, but some people are full of mischiefs and they make it hard. Look, all these people come from work. Look at the line she's standing there. People are throwing stones, people come from work. Then youngsters throwing stones at people. The police was running down. So what's happening in this country? So you're not safe anymore wherever you go. Where you go, travel from Nyanga, you travel from Mitchell's Plain, you travel from Strand, anywhere in this country. You don't know where you're going. You're coming from this country, you're born in this country. Everybody's supposed to look after this country. Whether we're black, white or cream, whatever colors, but we're all born and we stay in South Africa. I'm now the last 6 years now in South Africa, but things drastically change. Why? Because people, they only look after themselves. They don't care about the people on the road. Look here. People must come to work. Where you work? You work for your journalist. What you say because you got your transport. You're not worried. Not saying not worried, but that is your job. And look at all these people. Some people, 5 o'clock, they already start, finish their job. What's the time now? Nearly 9 o'clock. They're still waiting for transport to go home. If you go around there, what is this, Dynaffontein Road? Thousands of people are standing here. Three buses. You have to go and wait thousands of people from here to Mitchell's Plain, to Kailitsa, to whatever you have to go. You think it's fair? No, it's not fair.
Siphangele ekuseni sakhwela imoto esemsebenzini yasisemsebenzini ngoku siyazibuyela sihlika enyanga ejunction estation siya ePhilippi ngenyanga ngoba neTaxi azikho.
Ngihlala enkanini ekhaya elitsha ndisokola into yokhwela amatikiti asanda unyuka siyasokola umethe uprasa akasikhathele nosikhathalela kuyaliwa kwelacala kunzima uyageza uprasa akasikhathalelanga okokoko.
Ndibuye emsebenzini kuzimba ndiyame ndibheke endlini but kodwa ndinetikiti lenyanga ndithenge itikiti lenyanga but itrain ziphela apha sithini ke ingxaki nje.
Igama lam ndingusisilia Zinkumbi. Siyastrugglisha for itrain since ekseni emsebenzini ndingene ngo11:30 ingekho itrain asixelele uba why ingekho.
Igama lam ndinyanelisa fana madindala ekseni esikoleni ndifike nge10:30 ngebreak. So kwathi baze ndize nomzali wam ngenxa yetrain so ke nezabhasa kwa-Translux sifike late so ke nathi singayazi uba masithini sicinga uba masigoduke esikoleni sashaya udofika late ngoku ke thina sayiba masenze ntoni.
Sidisappointe kakhulu metro rail ngoba imeko sayibona imeko esikuyo ngoku. Metro rail uthatha abantu from etown azobalahla esitishini esibubona ngoyise chaos. Now sidisappointe kakhulu metro rail amatikiti anyusile the very same year whether the very same thing.
Kudala silapha silinda itrain azifiki zonke zisdrope apha enyanga ngoku asinandawo ngoku asinandlela uba masigoduke bebezizisile ibhasi bazise ibhasi ezi-2 and then asakwazi ukhwela phayana and ngoku sidinga itransport ngoku into bayenzayo ngoku basifakela i-tear gas so segoduka njani kwabantwana bethu basilinde pheza endlini sicela imetro lenza iceba bethu nayikhona into kasenzela yona.
They caught the guy with a child in the house and the police took him and the guys, the children, was throwing the police. They stoned the police. As you can see here, the junction was also stoned. And the guys, our people want to kill him and the cops, they just stop the people there and they shoot tear gas and all that stuff to disperse them away from the incident. But he was a criminal.
We're really fed up from this right now. All those people's lives is in danger. Where must we go? We must run up and down. We don't think it's fair. It's a month, 2 months already go on like this. The same was this morning. We came at work 11:15.
What's going to happen tomorrow? They're not even on the news. They don't inform us. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. And another thing, every time they tell you, it's the signals, the cable has been stolen, but we never see the cables has been stolen. We never see how they are digging, what cables are they stealing, and who's around with the signals. That's the biggest problem. We don't understand it. For 20 years, you can't have this problem for 20 years, man. For 20 years.
We're using metro rail trains and then they're not running all right. We get at work very late, but we pay for the tickets. And it's not good for us because we also want to go to work and come back home. We get so late.
kudala ndifikile apha ibhasi ndihlale eSamora ibhasi ezikhosibheka kwamakhayelitsha amatikiti ngomso funeka ndithenge itikiti uprasa please nometro rail makanzi icebo
sidikwe finish itrain azihambi njengoba siphi ngoku sihlale ekhayelitsha kule xesha sinabantwana sihamba kwiindawo ezinezikoli nazi itrain ziphela apha asixelele uba kuqhubeka ntoni what is going on kumke icables okanye kwenzeke ntoni sihleli apha ngoku John safika ngamani ixesha what is the time now komama bangangathi sama nabatata bazashiya apha endleleni it's enough mayiphele total train biyaphela that is otherwise siza kuzitshisa ezi train we're going to burn those trains because they must be finished totally silike buses sihambe we are sick from last year and this year again siyagqothwa emisebenzini
put the train ticket up and in first class the people must stand and the train is full, the train is late, and the bosses don't want to understand. Many people loses their jobs because of that, and they got small children, they must provide. But the railway doesn't think about that. And look now, how many children is still in the crash? How many children is by the nanny? Huh? And the mother is still standing here. Some of those people must still go and make food for their children. It's not fair. It's not fair. You must look into this matter.
But abantu by 1,000 bazawukhwela apha abantu. Zibhasi zimbini abantu by 1,000.
So ndiyakhalaza gqithi ngoprasa sikhupha imali eninzi sifika ngobusuku sizawuba zizulu zorechwa uprasa angafuni uba responsible for land njengoba kusasa ndifike ngo-10 enantsikeni emsebenzini azike ibhasi sihleli phafo ndifike esitishini nge-20 to 5 oko ndimendigodolayo kodwa njengoba ibhasi something ndunani ukuthi ibhasi zeza zifika azilayishi ziyafika azilayishi ibhasi afika azilayishi Why ningabi nezeni ibhasi nje xa itrain zingahambi nibe ibhasi for abantu uhleli ndingabakhathalelanga nje abantu sometimes itrain istake esithubeni kumnyama omnye ntsibe kube cinga urecho enzakala atakenzakala ukuthi upresa akho responsible for lonto izintoni ezonto elo xesha yonke lemkhupha imali amatikiti
igama lam njengoGerald Roro ya sase protector abantu thina apha ekuhlaleni even ejunction bamthambi kuceme izibane sikwazi ukukhusela abantu silayite ithotshi kwenza abantu babe safe kwenza bangarojwa zisikoli ngoba apha baxuthelwe ifowuni kwenziwa yonke into yaqonda so thina sizi-protection zelanto zegugu lethu sivile nje bhutele ubana njengoba sihlala apha ekuhlaleni sava ubana iitreyini azihambi sabona ubana noma sizoprotecta abantu njengesiqhelo uba singasedla ngobaprotecta
and ngukhalethu bikho ndisebenza enyanga kwezi moto zincinci so silapha ngokunceda abantu babawufika endlini ngexesha ngoba imoto azikho iteksi ziyashota sirhawula kwamoto edlula apho mayilayitsha abantu siqiniseke abantu bethu abakholwa ukuthi imihla ngemihla abasafe.
Igama ndinguSteven Piyose. Isikhalazo sam uPrasa noMetro Rail akasiphathanga kakuhle sine 2 hours sihleli apha enyanga ndihlale ekhayelitsha mna asifumani itrain apha kuthiwa itrain zinengxaki kuba kuye kwavandalizwa apha endleleni esitishini ngoku sithwe sawuthenjiswa uba sizawukhweliswa ibhasi azikho nezo bhasi besikudala sizilindele apha sina 2 hours sihleli apha ngosinalo ngxaki ngoku sicela ke noko urhulumente makakayibheke le ngxaki sijongene nayo apha eKapa.
You see, this train business is all turnbacks from Cape Town to Nyanga. There's no going further to Philippi or Captain's Club or Mitchell's Plain. So I'm stranded, I'm hungry and overworked. All I need is 1 glass of water. That's all I ask.
Khona bakwenza ngandaba yetrain because itrain siyaphangela sibuya late ebusuku siyakhuthuzwa ukuthini uyabona ngokuphela inyanga ngoku onyana apha amapolisa sifuna uyazi because nathi jonga ibhasi ziphi ngoku ibhasi azikho sinamatikiti enyanga singamatikiti from mhla nezolo eleke enyanga hayi man kanithethe no-metro rail please man.
I'm from Minenberg. Metro rail service is very bad because the people must going to work. The buses closed when the people don't turn up for work. So metro rail is very, very, very bad for our people. Transport is very bad.
Ndinguntombazana emntaneni silapha enyanga oko kwasekuseni siyasokola sikwazi nokhwela akho zitrain siyasokola namhlanje kusebusuku ngosi lapha nale imile ayigqitha sikwazi nothini sihlale ePhilippi.
I'm finished 4:30 already. I'm only going home now. What's happening to the train? Where must I go to Mitchell's Play now?
And we've got a ticket.
I got a monthly. I had to go home, walk home this morning from Captain's Club to Tafelsig to get money to get to work. It cost me extra 20 rand and another 20 rand now.
My name is William Gaikai. Yep. But I go to Seven Separo. So the train is knowing that the boss I talk about the things like every day is late, but it's come late to home. So what I can do nothing. I gotta pay my ticket every day. I gotta show my ticket. But I can do nothing. A lot of people talk on the streets. What about me? I can do nothing.
Yabona kuba suke ekhayelitsha siyazi ke noba izodlula le train yetown okanye ayizuya na yabona ngosimile nsibalethe emisebenzini.
I had to go with the train right now. I lost my everything now. What's your name again? Manira, John Aranza. How are you getting home? No, I had to get now with they told me I must get a bus. So it will be a pleasure to get me. I'm staying this side, Lentakia.
Yeah, and yes, the guy in the Kubeka, Mikabanam do no more. I train denzega ziphela apha azigqithu ePhilippi. Ngoku into enzeka abantu bafike behle apha babambe ibhasi. Nathi ngosawujika nayo ngoyizawujika ibheke eCape Town itrain. Inkosi.
Hayi iyafana lento ethethwa ngusisi zifike zijika apha ziphele lapha ziphinde zile but most ke ngokuyeze zima apha kuthiwa zispecial ze-express trains ziphinda lezingenabantu. Nawo silinde udriver sivuba uzawuthi iyajika le ithatha abantu okanye i-express nayo.
To talk to us about public transport is Philip van Reineveld, a transport economist. Good evening, Philip, and thank you very much for joining us. Philip, now let's start with the bigger picture. You did a 15-year review for government on public transport in South Africa with the emphasis on metropolitan areas. Tell us more about the study and the findings.
Okay, so Crystal, that work was about 2009, 2010, 15 years after Into Democracy. It was a study that looked at how people traveled and their satisfaction levels, the kinds of money that government's spending on public transport, and also some of the plans at that point for taking the system further. In terms of how people traveled in the metropolitan areas, now Cape Town's a little bit different from the other cities. If you take the cities as a whole, you have about 10% of people, 1/10 of people traveling by train, 1/10 on a bus, 1/10 walking, about 30% by taxi, and about 40% by car. So that's the general breakdown in the cities as a whole. Now Cape Town has a few more car users. It's about 50% by car, and in Cape Town, train is a much more important mode of travel. In Cape Town, about 45% of public transport trips are done by rail, and about taxi, about 30%, and then the bus, the remainder in Cape Town. So Cape Town's a little bit different. In terms of satisfaction levels, you know, the things that people really complained about was crowding, crowding on the vehicles, particularly obviously in the peak, and then not being able to get transport in the off-peak. So there's no room in the peak, and there's no transport in the off-peak. So that's the problem. Security is a big issue. There's not always security on the vehicle itself, but often, you know, at the stations, it's walking between the stations and home. So security is a big issue. Cost, is to some extent an issue, that more people complained about the crowding and the security and the safety and so on. Okay. So quite high levels of satisfaction, the time it takes people to travel. In terms of money spent, you know, what was interesting over that period, you know, over the 15 years, I mean, one of the things that came out of the review was that there'd been a lot of talk and a lot of planning, but not a huge amount of change. In terms of spending, a lot of government money goes into ongoing operating subsidies, subsidies to bring the fares of the trains and the fares of the bus down. What's interesting is that, you know, 30% of people are traveling on taxis, and those are not subsidized at all. So there is a question here, you know, is the money going to where it's really needed? The other key finding was that, you know, between 2005 and 2010, over a 5-year period, a very large proportion of government's money went into Gautrain, which is a single project in the Gauteng area, which really carries relatively few people. You know, I like public transport, and I don't want to talk badly of any kind of public transport project, and Gautrain is a very nice project, but it really has cost a lot. It absorbed about 1/3 of all the money. Wow. In that period.
So Philip, 5 years later, I mean, are we seeing some light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, at the time of that review, there was had recently been developed this public transport strategy and action plan by national government. You know, one of the things that has troubled us, and which was identified then, was this fragmentation of responsibility for public transport. So, for example, you know, our trains are really run by PRASA, based in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Gauteng. Our buses, the contracted buses like Golden Arrow in Cape Town, are contracted through the provinces. The cities do BRT, My City. The city is responsible for the taxi ranks. The provinces are responsible for regulating the taxis. So it's really a hodgepodge of responsibility. And what a lot of people have been saying, and what government was saying then, you know, is that what we need to do is we need to consolidate this responsibility in one place. And certainly, you know, with democracy, we created these big metropolitan governments with very wide boundaries. So in Cape Town, you know, the metropolitan government of Cape Town, the city of Cape Town, covers from Atlantis to Gordons Bay to Cape Point. And this is a very good area for managing public transport. So the basic philosophy has been, we need to consolidate responsibility at the city level. Now, so that was one key intention that was being articulated in 2007, 2009 when I did the study. They were also talking about the need to recapitalize the systems, the rails, and so on. And then also a lot of attention in this kind of new idea of the bus rapid transit, which we've now seen in Cape Town coming through. In terms of achievements, I would have to say that BRT projects are now beginning to operate in Cape Town and Johannesburg. The rail, they have planned a recapitalization in that period. That's 5 years on. They have allocated a large amount of money, but we're not seeing the effects of that yet. And on the devolution, I have to say, there's really been no progress, unfortunately.
So Philip, I mean, you mentioned a very interesting point that, you know, in some areas, 30% of commuters take the taxi and they don't receive any subsidy. And we do see when taxis are on strike, say in KwaZulu-Natal or even here, it's a shutdown of the transport system. I mean, are we looking at that's going to be phased out, given that, say, in Cape Town we have our city now, Johannesburg BRT, or will taxis remain an integral part of our transport system in South Africa and in Cape Town?
Yeah, look, the idea with the introduction of the bus rapid transit was that it would phase out the taxis. And I think the bus rapid transit is proving a good project. What's interesting is that the taxi operators operated. I don't know if many people know that in Cape Town. I mean, My City is run by the taxi operators, actually. There are 3 companies now that run the buses, but they're owned by the taxis and managed by the taxis. Golden Arrow is also involved, one of the 3 companies. The vision was to replace the taxis, but I think that's not a sustainable or realistic vision. The thing about taxis is that they are actually extremely efficient at what they do. And, you know, operating in the informal sector, they have a low cost structure. They're flexible. They are sensitive to market demand, and they're a part of people's lives. And for me, the real challenge is not to actually replace the taxis, but to decide where we can improve things with formal systems like My City, where we can improve things with the trains, and then how we can organize the taxis so that they complement this better. We want to have the taxis complemented better. And then, of course, we want to regulate them better because we have to improve the safety. If we could find a way of getting the taxis to operate off-peak and not wait, stand there parked waiting for them to fill up before they ride, so you just don't know when they're going to go. If we could solve that problem, well, that would make a big difference. But you're probably not going to solve that problem without making them more like buses, and then they're going to become much more expensive. So it's between a chicken and
an egg. Yes.
Yeah.
Philip, so talk to us about, clearly a bad public transport system impacts on the economy, and it impacts on workers' output, and the list can go on because it's got a, impact on all of it. How bad is it? What does it actually mean?
Okay, well, you see, the interesting thing is that why do we want a transport system? I mean, we don't have a transport system as an end in itself. I mean, I don't know, there may be some people who love just sitting on the train, but I doubt there are very many,
So, no, absolutely not.
So we live in these cities, and what's the point of living in a city? The point of living in a city is that you've got this access to opportunities to work, to social opportunities, to sports and so on. But to access them in a city, you've got to use transport to get them there. So actually, a good public transport system allows you very good access at low cost and in a short time where your journeys are quick. But the problem is that if you don't have that, poor access, long journey times, large amounts of costs, this creates huge inefficiencies in the economy. People are spending a lot of time on trains, it's fraught, it's stressful, they get to work, they're not as productive, they don't get as much time to spend with their families, they have to spend a large amount of their money on transport, and they can't get where they want to be. And that really, in a sense, undermines the whole point of a city. Now, the thing about South African cities, Cape Town is no exception, it's the same. If you compare South African cities with the rest of the world, our cities are very poorly designed or shaped for transport in general, public transport as well. And that is for two reasons, really. One is the old apartheid planning that put people of different races out on the outskirts of cities, and so it made these cities much more spread out. And the other is really that a lot of our cities' forms took shape at a time when the motor car was becoming dominant. And so our cities are very motor car oriented in the way that they're shaped. It's very difficult to get around without a motor car. And that's why, people in South Africa and Cape Town, as soon as they got some money, they're going to buy a motor car. And I when I see the fuel price now, where it is, there must be so many people hurting. They need the motor car to get around. The fuel price is shooting up. It's not a solution. And I can tell you that international studies show that a quarter of all the economic activity in South African cities is actually spent on passenger transport, private and public together, a quarter of all. Now, if you compare that with Europe, they spend less than 10%, less than a tenth. So what does that mean? That means quite apart from the time that it's taking people to get to work and so on, what that means is that 15%, nearly a fifth of what we are spending in South Africa on moving around the city, other places have got to spend on other things, entertainment, clothes, making their houses nice, the kinds of things that people want to do with their money. And so we sit with a real problem. And that makes it very difficult for public transport systems to operate efficiently. So let me explain that a little bit more in detail as to what happens. You see, if you have large numbers of people living at one point, and their place of work is a long way away. And they all travel in one direction in the morning, and they all travel at the same time. Then you need this big fleet to carry people in the one direction. And then when they go back, if they want to do more than one trip in the morning, they go empty back. So they're actually, these, and you'll see the taxis and the buses, belting in from Mitchell's Plain and Khayelitsha into the morning, and then traveling back empty.
Yes, to pick up more people.
To pick up more people. So what happens is then, and the distances are long, if you had a system where people were traveling short distances, for example, corridors, which is what many cities have, where people are traveling fairly short distances back and forth along that corridor. A train or a bus or whatever will go along that corridor, and you'll have people getting on and off all the time as they get on to get off at work, on and off, relatively short journeys, but a lot of them. And they'll be doing it in both directions. Now, a system like that
would be ideal.
It's ideal. It's a dream to run a public transport system like that. But,
talking about dreams, Philip, so you've been intimately involved. You've seen the global and the local in terms of South Africa. If you could look into your crystal ball, gaze ahead, where are we heading to in the next few years?
Well, look, I do hope that we can achieve this consolidation of responsibility for public transport in Cape Town at the metropolitan government level. I think the city has learned a lot from its My City project about what it means to put in a good, efficient public transport system. I mean, My City is not serving a large part of the population, but it's serving the people up the West Coast. It's made a big difference to their lives.
And productivity.
Productivity, yeah. Dunoon, it's now linked in there. Atlantis. So there's quite a good mix of people using it. City's learned a lot from that. For Cape Town, the trains is the big thing. I actually think that in comparison with the total number of people using the trains in South Africa, the national government's probably allocating too much money to the trains, but that's good for Cape Town. And so I hope we'll see a really good improvement in the trains over the next 5 years. And then if we can manage to get the taxis to work effectively within this framework, I think taxis are a big part of the solution. But ultimately also, we've got to move towards beginning to develop our cities, and this is a very long-term program. We're talking about 20, 30, 40 years, where people are living on public transport corridors closer to the main corridors, and are able to travel, without having to wait too long at prices which are not too high, and on vehicles which are not too crowded.
So you sound optimistic?
Well, you see, I do think that we've shown the ability in South Africa to grapple with problems. I think in Cape Town we've done quite well in grappling with some of our problems. I mean, the transition was a difficult thing to manage, and it's been managed. And I think the City of Cape Town is a pretty efficient organization, which, when it puts its mind to it, and if it's given the responsibilities to do it, I think can achieve quite a lot. But progress, I think, will be quite slower than people expect. But yes, I think we can get there.
Okay.
So I'm not pessimistic, but there is a lot of work to be done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Philip, for your very insightful thoughts around public transport. Many of our viewers watching are obviously people that take the train, and they have lots of stories, including myself. Lots of stories about trains. But as you say, you are optimistic, so we will also be optimistic that change will come our way one day soon.
Well, I hope it's as soon as we all want it. I think it's going to be a bit slower than we expect, but I do think it'll come.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal.
Creative World is giving one lucky viewer a chance to win.
The stylish custom-made lounge suite designed to bring a classic look to any home.
To enter, simply SMS the word creative to the number 48423.
SMSs only cost R1.50 and you may enter as many times as you like.
Competition closes on the 31st of July and the lucky winner will be announced on the 1st of August. So SMS and stay tuned to Cape Town TV.
Don't forget to enter the Creative World competition. Entries close on the 31st of July and the winner will be announced on Friday, the 1st of August.
Public Transport Voice was officially launched today in Khayelitsha. The purpose of the organization is to advocate for a safe, accountable and affordable public transport system. Earlier today, we spoke to Simo Sintadatu.
We are launching the public transport voice after considering many problems that are being encountered by the people or communities that are using the public transport. After a collection of people complaining that the public transport is operating as if it's operating in an island. Because whenever, for an example, the train companies or taxi industry or bus industry, they feel they want to increase their prices, they just increase without consultation to people who are using the public transport. So we came with an initiative that we need to come with this idea of advocating for the people or for the communities or for the commuters of each of the modes of transport. As I've alluded, we have your trains, you have your taxis, you have your buses. So our objective is to address whatever that is a problem in terms of people who are using that each mode of this transport. So, and because there are people, as I was saying, there are complaints. For an example, when we speak of trains, there are people who have lost jobs due to the fact that the train was late or was delayed or didn't even pitch up. For an example, as we speak, since yesterday, there are no trains in Khayelitsha. Trains only come from town till they reach Nyanga station. Yeah. Then now people from Khayelitsha are suffering on that, of which those people, they have their tickets with them. Some are having weekly tickets, some are having monthly tickets. So, and at the end, there will be no form of reimbursement for them. Instead, they are paying more because now they are using taxis. So those are some of the problems that are there when you speak of Metro Rail. And when you speak of also the taxis, the problem more especially is the behavior. When you speak of taxi drivers, they address whoever in whatever way they feel that they can say, we feel we need to install some values or some manners to them. And also, as I was saying, when they decide to increase their prices, they just increase them. It's a norm now here in Khayelitsha that we know that on the 1st of December, the prices of the taxis are going up, of which with no consultation, and even Metro Rail just recently increased the prices with no consultation to the commuters. And the prices, what we are saying is this: the price that we are charging must be equal to the service that we are providing. That's our stance. If you decide to have an increment on the prices, you must improve on the service that you are providing to the people. While people are still complaining about your service, it can't be that you will just decide that you will increase the prices. So that's why we came with this initiative of having an organization known as Public Transport Voice. It's good for South Africa to have a good public transport in this way. Many people, when they go to their workplaces and when they come back, they use public transport, because not all of us, we do have pockets that can buy cars. So we do depend. For us to have bread at home, you have to go to work, and when you go to work, you use the public transport. Community members, they don't even know their rights when it comes to transportation. Whereas, because our government is not saying anything. Our government is quiet. I usually say our government likes, it's a wheelbarrow approach, whereby always you must be at the back pushing them for them to implement or to do services for the community. So we'll be at their back pushing them to improve the transport system or the public transport system. Yeah.
Solidarity for the Palestinian cause has gained momentum in South Africa since Israel launched a military attack in the Gaza Strip in July 2014. Over the last few weeks, Cape Town hosted a number of marches in solidarity with the Palestinians. As a follow-up, this week we took a look at the work of the Palestine Solidarity Committee.
The Palestine Solidarity Campaign has been in existence for about 12-13 years now. Our main objective is to build a mass solidarity movement in South Africa in support of the Palestinian cause. The majority of Palestinians are confined either to Gaza or the West Bank, very, very small pockets of land, similar to our Bantustans under apartheid, and then of course the Gaza Strip, which, as you know, is the biggest open-air prison in the world today. There are two areas of work. The main one at the moment is called BDS, which stands for Boycott, Divestment or Disinvestment and Sanctions against Israel. We think as people living in South Africa and people all over the world, not experiencing the reality of Israel-Palestine, that would be our best weapon, because it was a very strong weapon of solidarity under apartheid or against apartheid, and it succeeded. Also, you know, the big retail companies locally like Woolworths, Shoprite, Checkers, Pick n Pay, who still do import and sell Israeli products. And we feel that our communities, and as the PSC, we should pressurize these companies to stop doing that. And obviously, if they're not prepared to heed the call, then we'll mobilize our communities not to shop at these places if they continue to stock Israeli products. We feel it's not enough to express our anger and resentment simply by marching. We think we need to go beyond the marches. So on the one hand, we do march in order to pressurize our government to implement an extensive program. In fact, we want them to legislate it, of boycotts, disinvestment and sanctions. And there's also an important historical link. You see, since I think around about the 70s onwards, when we were activists in the 70s and 80s, there was an understanding that the three biggest struggles taking place in the world was South Africa, led mainly by the ANC. It was Palestine, led by the PLO, and then Ireland against British colonialism, led by the IRA. And there was this triumvirate, an alliance internationally for liberation against those, in those anti-colonial struggles. So what we know is that in fact the Palestinians, the PLO combatants, the military wing of the PLO, actually trained ANC operatives, MK operatives in various parts like Algeria and so on of the world. So there was very direct support by the Palestinians for the struggle in South Africa in other ways too. So not only in terms of our international principles and commitment to democracy and human rights and fighting oppression, but I think we owe a direct allegiance to the Palestinian cause. We are busy with other organizations to pressurize the ANC government to get down to legislation and real action with regard to sanctions and boycotts and so on against Israel. So we want to build a mass movement, and we're calling on our people in all our communities to form solidarity committees in the areas. And so we want those committees to join and be part of the Palestine Solidarity campaign so that we can develop a mass movement. Contact me. I can give my number in the meanwhile. It's 021 447 2727 if they'd like to get involved, and we'll include people on our mailing list and inform them about our monthly meetings where all our area committees and organizations come together to discuss our campaigns and work in support of Palestinian solidarity.
And that's the end of our show, and do tell us about your transport stories. Remember that Our City is a multimedia production, which means you can get your voice heard on this show. Connect with us on our Facebook page, Our City, email us on ourcityconnect@gmail.com, or tweet us with the handle @OurCityCTV. If you are going to tweet us, use the hashtag OurCity. Thank you to our guests for sharing their views. Goodbye.